Are these really dark times? I hear a lot of talk about this, or maybe from YouTube, from people I know in America, from people I know in Europe. It's sort of a vibe that's going on now. And it's possible that there are dark times, and there's reasons for that. And I'll get to that in one moment. But there's also other reasons that we should understand that this is part of a news cycle as well. Because, first, anytime in the United States there is a Republican president, the media in general is very skeptical. That's the nicest way to put it. Skeptical of him, and the small amount of media that supports the president is kind of so over the top in their spin of the news that they're not credible. So the overwhelming amount of coverage you get is very negative towards a Republican president. Uh, uh, the second thing is that when we come up to midterms, this is the midterms elections 2 years after the presidential elections, where a lot of the senators and all of the House of Representatives are elected or reelected. And this will often is seen as a referendum on the sitting president's term. So when we come up to this time, and that is what we're coming up to here in November 2026, the media, especially when there's a Republican president, will begin to beat the drumbeat that young people can't afford housing anymore. There's homelessness on the streets. Things are worse than they've ever been before. Maybe in some cases that's true, but certainly when there's a Democratic president in, the drumbeat and those midterms elections about how bad things are for the country, sometimes it's almost non-existent. At least from the bulk of the media. So this kind of aura filters through our society, and I think people in Europe who I talk to, this is all anecdotal, but because the U.S. media news sort of can dominate the international news and define how the coverage of the U.S. is overseas, they kind of say, oh my gosh, the country is falling apart. But it may be because of the midterms and a Republican president in office. Now, there are really good reasons why things have to come to a head in America, if not the world, eventually, mainly because of one reason, and it's those budget deficits that's running up the U.S. Deficits and the national debt. They went from under $1 trillion when Clinton was in office. Bill Clinton balanced the budget in the late 90s. Since then, it's 36, 38 trillion, something like that. It's for a time it was going up $1 trillion every 100 days. And this is all imaginary, funny money that's just printed behind the scenes, just as numbers. Eventually, that is obviously unsustainable. And other countries in the world have kept up with that as well. And it's been a little bit too long before we've had a crash. We usually have a cyclical thing in the United States in the world economy. This is an oversimplification, but we have cycles towards the end of a decade. You can look at kind of the end of every decade. The late 90s, we had the currency crash, the worldwide recession, and then after that, the dot-com crash. And then we have the mortgage crash, 2007, 2008. That was the last kind of really big structural downturn. We did have some stuff that happened because of COVID, but that was seen not as a reflection of the economy itself, but as a reflection of how people were forced to live. So it's been a while since we've had a real grinding recession. And the way they've forestalled that is all that deficit spending pump the money into economy, keep inflation low, make money cheap, so it's easy to spend, and they just create more and more of it. So that is something, a real indicator that a dark time must come. You can't forestall it forever. However, a lot of what we hear and what we feel about the media, and that things aren't affordable. I mean, I was hearing that in the 80s when I was growing up, that things were unaffordable and I could never afford to buy a house, etc., etc. And again, a lot of this is key to midterm elections and the media lobbying against a sitting president. So the bottom line, are these dark times? It's kind of a mix of both. We have to be aware of the media cycles before midterm elections, bias against presidents, for right or for wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, and there is an issue with the deficits and the overspending, that it's got to trigger some sort of recession at some point. So it's a combination of all that is sending out the message to the world now that things are chaotic. Whether they're as chaotic as the media would like you to think they are, it's probably not the case. But a recession will come someday, and I think I'm arguing both sides of this argument so well, I would say myself, I'm not sure what side I'm landing on, but all I'm really saying is we got to be aware of how the media and their biases and the election cycle can influence what we're told to believe in the media. So that's all.